It's weekly wrap-up time here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. I feel sometimes these weeks go so fast in between each wrap-up. Maybe you guys only need a monthly Wildcat wrap-up from me. So much goes on behind the scenes. I was gonna try and talking to Livia about what to talk about today because there's so much planning and things that I think would be so boring to you guys. so much of my job is not the exciting stuff. It's the must-have, must-do stuff. But wanted to kind of share with you a few things. First, again, as always, thank you to everybody who's given to the Well fundraiser. That is so critical to everything we do here, and we're really getting close to our goals. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And as every weekly wrap-up, we have Squirrels that has to join me. And Squirrels, you need to tell everybody that you've been a little naughty, you and your sister Wobbles, to Dahlia. They've been picking on Dahlia a little bit, which is not allowed here at the sanctuary, I tell Squirrels. But we think we have too many female cats down here. We have 4 females and Benny, who I don't know what you can call Benny right now, being he's so old. He's not male or female. He's just old Benny. So kind of what's been going on is we had snow. We finally had snow in Minnesota. We were expecting 2 inches. I'm looking outside. It's a lot more than 2 inches. We're expecting to get up to 8 inches over on Saturday. And so as much as we love Minnesota, my heart goes out to the interns and caretakers every time we have snowfall because their work is just tripled and quadrupled. Jesse and Bobby facilities are usually coming in early to plow for access to get here. The 8 inches of snow should be cold, wintry snow, which means it's not a safety risk like when we've had those ice storms and things like that, but it is causing a lot more work. Jesse is even on call for the weekend so that he can come in and plow. Squirrels, that's not appropriate. You gotta either move one spot or another. Or let me hold you, Squirrels, one of the others. So it's just a lot of work. It's been cold. It's been kind of a up and down winter, but we'll get through it. The cats are loving it. You can see on the Super Bowl enrichment that the Lion Pride predicted the Super Bowl. And I was telling Judson, I know people have their different views on the Super Bowl. So you can really interpret how the Lion Pride picked any way you want, whatever is your favorite team. But tomorrow, we have the hybrid lynx Highlanders. The little kitties are going to be doing their own kitten bowl. So you'll want to tune into that, and that'll be a live post tomorrow to choose the winner of the Super Bowl. So other things we've been going on this week is we are looking to expand our staffing. In the past, we've had animal care managers that kind of work a little bit alongside the caretakers and making sure they're supported, that the SOPs are being followed, that they can fill in when animal caretakers are off. We are being very selective. We've tried this position on several occasions and we've had great people in the position, but it's always been challenging because we're spread over 40 acres. We have 150 some animals, the staff, the interns. So we're looking at, with the bird flu, taking what we have as zone 3 zones right now and turning it into 4 zones. And then we will have 2 zones be managed by a person and the other 2 zones be managed by a person, and then the caretakers working in those zones. And I think we're just growing so big in size, cat number, buildings, that we need more of the support. And so Katie and I have been doing first and second round interviews. We've had over 140 applicants, but looking at really who is a good fit long-term for TWS, and that is a good fit for the candidate. We have the caretaking staff that are amazing and know their jobs and know the animals. What we really need is somebody that can kind of manage the logistics of all those moving parts and really kind of streamline the standard operating procedures, especially with the bird flu and COVID and things like that we've seen. And as we've been working on those protocols, the caretakers have been giving input. Elise and Tyler are busy with it, and Katie and Dr. Campbell, of really getting all the supplies we need to change, as I talked about last week, kind of our protocol sanitation. We're also, the Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance is hosting a town hall next week for the big cat sanctuaries, their veterinary and high-level staff for us to really share and brainstorm the next wave of what it's going to look like for biohazard security in sanctuaries. Especially another article last night was another dairy farm got hit with the bird flu, and it's a different strain. And so this is going to continue to evolve and look different. And we're going to do the best, all of us sanctuaries and the Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance, to really mitigate what we can while still providing quality care for the cats we care for. So that's been a big one. Been working on rescues. Many of you have seen the adorable cougar kittens that were rescued from the wildfire, and they are at Oakland Zoo. Oakland Zoo does a great job taking in unreleasable wildlife, especially cougars, and they will rehab them, and they work usually through the American Zoo Association to place them at zoos. Usually if zoos don't have space, then they come to sanctuaries, and that's delegated by the Fish and Game Office. That's in the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. That's not usually the independent, like Oakland Zoo doesn't get to decide where the cats necessarily go. But as you know, we have a lot of wildborns here at the sanctuary, unreleasable wildlife that have been orphaned, bobcats and cougars. And it is very, very different how we have to manage and work with those wildborns than we do the captive borns. They get high stress. They don't want to shift as well. They're a big challenge to the caretakers. I know they work a lot on operant conditioning and positive reinforcement to try and get them really conditioned so that we can do animal care and make sure they're doing okay. And so we used to get 13 or 14 calls a season on orphaned cougar kittens, and we placed them everywhere from Carolina Tiger Rescue to InSync, I know, has had some. And we don't see it as much anymore because the Fish and Games are going directly to the American Zoo Association first. But we did receive a call from a rehabber that has probably, it looks like an 8-week-old cougar kitten that needs placement that was orphaned. And it's wonderful that that Fish and Game Agency and that rehabber really have reached out and networked to find a place. And of course they reached out to us. Now we would of course say yes, but we want to always put the animals' needs first. So I reached out to the Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance of who might have open enclosures, and thankfully quite a few sanctuaries said they would have space for this orphaned cougar kitten. And so we found the sanctuary that's closest and that can get there in quickest. So I'm not going to spoil anything, but a new cougar kitten will have a lease on life at an accredited sanctuary, and we're so thankful for everybody that stepped up, and we're very thankful for the sanctuary that will probably be announcing over the next month or so their new resident. And so it really takes a team. We also have been called on a few F1 savannas, and we already have several cats on our waiting list here to come to the Wildcat Sanctuary that are hybrids. And so 2 will be joining us over the next month, and luckily that rescue group has been wonderful at holding on to them a little bit longer while we get our Highlander lynx kittens situated and things like that. And so I reached out to other sanctuaries on this F1 Savannah, and I did have Wildcat Ridge, I know, was going to reach out and offer to see if they can help. When we did a little bit of research, it didn't take long to see that this F1 Savannah is not the only Savannah this person owned, and that they were using them commercially for ads and things like that. So that usually becomes an ethical dilemma and decision for a sanctuary, because all of us that are accredited really want to end a cycle. So we're not going to just take one if the person's going to buy more or has more. There's just not enough sanctuary space right now. Hi, Benny. To do that. Thank you, Benny. Okay, old man Benny. I can't fit 2 cats on my lap. You got a big eye booger. I gotta get it. Sorry. Anybody that knows me is I always have to do eyes and ears. So we're still looking at places for hybrids, but hybrids are getting harder and harder to find sanctuary for. It's just the numbers are too much. So we'll continue to work on that as well. Still working on some international cases, just logistically to see if we can get cats moved and what the finances are. It used to be a lot of the government, like with Argentina, was funding the like Lucy to get to us to the U.S. soil, and then the rest was on us. But a lot of these new rescues, there isn't any funding from the government, and so it would be 100% the sanctuary cost, and you can look at hundreds of thousands of dollars to help a few individuals. And so those, again, assessments have to be made on each case-by-case basis of how desperate it is for the animals. Are there other animals in the U.S. in need that would benefit first, because it wouldn't cost as much to get the animals here? So it's never just black and white. There's a lot of gray in there, so we're working on those cases as well. Also, we have the Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance board retreat coming up in a few months, and so I was booking that. That's where the board members of the Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance get together, set our strategic goals, working together, how we advocate for big cats, what further legislation is needed for small cats, and so on and so on. And then, of course, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. So we have put on our Facebook page here the Share the Love graphics. And we really encourage you to make those your profile picture, share those around. It is a free way to share the love, but also to raise awareness for the Wildcat Sanctuary. And it's just a really fun way to get awareness out for what we do, but also for you to share with a loved one an adorable picture of one of our residents here. And if you are not signed up for our e-news, please do. We are started a whole feature called the Inside Scoop. So it is something that you will only get in the e-newsletter each week. It is not going to be on social media. It could be anything from rescue information to behind the scenes information to articles that I've written. And so it's just a way to make sure that those that are getting the e-news are getting something special for actually signing up for the e-news. And talking about a few of the wild instincts and things that our cats have here at the sanctuary, as we were talking about the wild-born cougars, we have Blaze, Aspen, Snow, and Storm. And if you remember in the early days, they were rescued and then they were separated. And then Aspen passed away, and Blaze has been on his own, and Snow and Storm live together. And so we're looking at maybe merging those groups back, or Blaze with the group. But how we best do that is they put a howdy door in the indoor rooms so that they can see each other and touch each other's noses and see, we can see how that behavior happens, because it's been quite a few years since Blaze lived with them. And Blaze is pretty dominant cougar, where Snow is very, very submissive. And so if we're gonna ever do that re-merger, we're gonna take it in baby steps. So we'll keep you posted on how that goes. And then our oldest resident, Rio, the ocelot, the staff went on rounds and found that she caught her own wildlife, a muskrat that I think was bigger than her. And she had done a number on it. Luckily, when we got there, because we're animal lovers, the muskrat had already passed on. But she definitely decided to share that throughout her entire room. And all of her enclosure is 2x4 inch holes, so it's crazy how wildlife can fit through such small enclosures. So some of our enclosures, what we're doing around like our swamp areas to mitigate anything with the waterfowl or anything with the bird flu or even lepto that skunks and other animals can bring in, is that the staff have going out there and they're starting to mesh, half-inch mesh around the bottom of our habitats that are near wildlife area. So just to mitigate more wildlife getting into habitats, because we see so much crossover and zoonosis and zoonotic diseases and things like that. So those are kind of my updates for the week. It's a short one because most of my stuff has been office work this week. We've had some vet days. We have some cats that I tell you every week are on our watch list, and some of our older. And you know, as soon as I can share news, I will share news with you, but know that everybody in their power is taking as good a care of our old residents, our geriatric residents, our new residents, and our young and spry residents. So it's been quite a week. We hope next week we have a little bit of downtime if the weather permits and we don't have so much snow, that we can do more projects and less maintenance work on making sure furnaces have kept up. We've had service calls. We're adding more heat to certain buildings, and just with all the plowing. I'm looking out at the snow right now and see if, first of all, you can see Benny, but it is blowing off of Catio Town like crazy out there. Right, Ben? So some days, it's nice to be the old lady executive director that has office jobs when I look at some of the weather outside and what the caretakers and interns have to deal with. I think they have a much harder time with it than the animals who love it. So thank you guys for being part of our feline family. Thank you for helping with the Well fundraiser. And I will talk to you next week with some more updates on what's been going on here at the sanctuary.